Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Luisa Pilot. I am the head of sales and the size and fit specialist here at Sizeway. And I will be the host for today's webinar, How to Lift Conversions for Fashion e-commerce by Douglas DeSanti. Douglas will be leading this webinar and taking questions, so please make sure to send them through, okay? For those of you who don't know Douglas, he is currently the global head of direct-to-consumer at Nextbase and a conversion rate optimization specialist. Douglas has over 20 years experience in digital product management, delivering e-commerce solutions in a huge range of segments and industries. Today, we will be focusing on the fashion industry. That is the main issue we will be discussing today, and hopefully give everyone some great takeaways. Thank you all for taking the time today. We're really happy to be hosting another Size Talks Live. So over to you, Douglas.
Hi guys, nice seeing everybody. Yeah, I think we have some interesting items and ideas to bring to you today. I put together some of the most, let's say, common issues that I have been seeing over something around not only 20 years in e-commerce, but more especially, mainly, I have been doing CX audits in over 100 e-commerce sites over the last 5 to 6 years. CX and usability audits, and especially when it comes to fashion e-commerce, there are some key factors over there that I have been seeing over and over, and most companies are not paying attention to, and they are definitely leaving money on the table because of those issues or the things that they could improve on their sites. And let's jump in and take a look at some of those. Okay.
Perfect. Take us away, Douglas. Look forward to hearing it.
Mm-hmm. So if you could share the presentation now, it can begin. All right. Are you going to wait for someone else to join, or is it okay? Can I start already?
I think we can start. This is being recorded, so we will be sure to be sharing it and sending it out to anybody that hasn't had the possibility to join today. I know it's not the easiest time. It's always difficult to choose the best time, but let's go ahead.
All right. Right. So we're gonna cover five main topics here. They are regarding to micro conversions, improving the product findability, using psychological triggers to convert more. I'm going to talk as well about roadblocks, common roadblocks on cart and checkouts, and the last topic is regarding hesitation that leads to cart abandonment, and an interesting way to reduce that. So as I said before, this is me, Dr. DeSanti, presenting this material, and Luisa is also with us from Sizeway. Okay. So the idea is, if we take, let's say, around up to 10, maybe even 5 years ago, most of the e-commerce companies, they were spending the majority of their efforts into just bringing more and more visitors to the sites, right? And at some point they start to realize that they were bringing 100 visitors to the site, and they had a 1% conversion rate. Um, and in order to increase sales, they were either trying to be more, trying to bring more visitors, or giving promotions and discounts and free shipping, etc., etc., etc. And they were not realizing that they were not actually convincing just one out of 100 visitors to make a purchase, to buy their product. They were probably convincing two or three, four, or even more than that, but they were losing those shoppers across the journey due to navigation problems, or issues to find the item, or to actually make the go make through the checkouts. And this is when the conversion rate optimization start to take place, where this is a combination of, let's say, web analytics, uh, uh, um, the technical part of front end development and design, let's say, combined with psychology around all those three elements, surrounding those three elements as well. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So first thing is, we cannot improve what we don't measure, or we don't know if you're improving if you're not measuring that. And most companies are just looking at the both edges of the journey. So I have visitors coming here, and I have conversion rate, I have people buying on the other edge. But they are not measuring so much what is happening, between those 2 points. And this is key to understand which page where I'm losing those visitors, and which element I should either redesign, or find an issue, or come up with something better, or change the label, the description, images, etc., etc. So one model that I have been working over the last few years is to bring this kind of vision to this e-commerce companies, where in a single, at a glance, in a single shot, I can understand, okay, what is the percentage of users reaching your site that are actually seeing a product. And by seeing a product, I mean seeing a product detail page, not just the home page, or products in a product listing page. Um, how many of them are adding something to the cart, they are reaching the checkout, and they are finally making the purchase. And um, we can then analyze that, let's say, this week against previous week, or this month against previous month. And over time, we can also see how the abandonment of the add to cart, of the cart, and the checkout um, are happy, are behaving. And that's a key factor to understand, okay, I just did a deploy, for instance, of a new version of my site, changing something, changing the design of my product page. Okay, are we actually measuring that? Are we seeing if the number of users going from the first step to the second step increase or decrease? That's a key factor to understand the success. We cannot just measure this number here, because we might have several items on the same deploy, for instance, and maybe one is increasing the figures here, but the other one is removing them over here on the actual cart or on the checkout. Or if suddenly you had a drop in conversion, okay, can you immediately say where is, or roguely, where is the problem? Without having a graph like that, you can't say something like that. It's going to be really hard. You're going to have to spend a few hours on GA or Google Analytics or whatever other tool that you're using to understand where is the leak, right? And another thing that I wanted to mention regarding metrics, and I saw this thing over and over, is companies have a tendency to believe that their site works much like a house, right? Where you have the main entrance, and they put all the efforts of promotions and explaining the brand and its style and etc etc etc. I saw so many uh, 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 um, people from the commercial area, kind of almost fighting themselves to put their item on the first spot over there on the first slides of the homepage, because they believe that everybody enters the site through the homepage. But the reality, when you start looking at and this is a metric of more than 100 e-commerce that I have been looking over the last few years. Um, really hard to find a site where you have more than 20%, 25% of visitors actually start their navigation through their homepage, right? The vast majority of the sites are sitting between 18 to 24 percent of visitors start their navigation through the homepage. So in the end of the day, the homepage is actually not the main landing page of the site, right? That is usually um, is going to be your product page or your product listing page, because we have users coming from PPC who are not going to land most likely on your homepage. We have users coming from SEO who tend to go straight to a product as well. Um, so we should start thinking um, the site more like a shopping center where you have those multiple points of interest. And this is important because okay, think of the elements that you are bringing to your homepage when you're trying to convince the person that you have the not only the best product, but you have key factors of your company that are important for them. Are you showing those same elements on your product listing page or your product detail page, for instance? It's very common that companies don't do that. They assume that once you get into that product page, you already know the brand, its values, its key features, and etc. And this is a wrong assumption, right? This is not going to happen for the vast majority of those visitors. That's why it's important to bring those elements to the other pages as well. Um, Now let's get into more detail on how to improve and find those issues on the sites. So let's talk about the product listing page, which is probably the most overseen page of the site. Um, Most sites, they just adopt whatever comes with the e-commerce platform. Just add a few filters over there, sort everything by bestseller, and there you go. Right? There is not much thought about how to improve, how to increase the number of users reaching a product detail page through change that we can apply to that product listing page. That's why it's so important to measure that step, as I was showing before. So the first item that I'm used to see is regarding the number of products, right? Okay, so how many products should I list over there? And the thing is, I've seen many sites where we have something like 12, 16 products, 20 products maximum. And if this is your case, I would strongly advise you to take a look at your web analytics tool, and see what is take your main subcategory, for instance. Let's say that is men's shoes or something, or women blouses, for instance, or jackets. Take a look at the URL of the first page and the URL of the second page. So you're gonna see the abandonment rate. So that you're gonna see the percentage of users who actually don't reach your second page, right? If you have only a couple of products, fine. But if like the majority, you probably have something around a few hundred products, or at least more than 50 products per subcategory. And when you realize that only most likely 15-20% of the visitors are actually seeing the second page, right? So they are only, so out of those 60, 100, they are only seeing 10, 20. And this is when we start to analyze, okay, am I actually showing the best 15, 20 products here? How can I expand that? How can I make them see more products to increase the discovery process? And we might say, yeah, but if I just go crazy and add 100 products over there, it's going to be too much. The page is going to be heavy, etc. Yeah, there is a balance, but there are techniques nowadays such as lazy loads that can reduce the weight of the images as they are loading as I scroll the page. So that's not so much of a concern if we're talking about something reasonable like 50, 60, 70 products. And very, very close to this topic is the topic of pagination, right? So most users also just show the standard page 1, 2, 3, 4, just the way that we were used to do that 20 years ago. And the realities that are better, more modern ways that have been proven to work way more performatically than the current page 1, 2, 3. That is a very important company called Baymard Institute that they do usability tests for, specifically for e-commerce. And they did a very broad analysis over there over this topic. And from the three options, which are standard 1, 2, 3, the infinite scroll, and the load more, which was known to be applied on Google Images, was probably one of the big sites that applied the loads more approach. The loads more was the one who actually had the better user experience and the amount of products that were seen by those users, right? The thing is, it is a single button. You don't need to remember which page you are to click on the next one, which is usually a very tiny little number over there, and doesn't have the issues of the infinite scroll where it's fine when I'm scrolling down, but if I return and try to remember around where that product was, it's pretty complicated with the infinite scroll, and I also lose the footer, or I have to scroll a lot to actually reach the footer. So the loads more solve some of those usability issues. So I really recommend you guys to take a look at this topic on your sites. There is another one which is also overseen quite a lot. It's very rare for me to find e-commerce sites who actually thought about their search ordering. And again, remember, what we are talking about is, okay, I have 500 products. Users are gonna see only the top. If they go to page 2 maximum, they are probably gonna see only 50, 100 of those items, if that many. Yeah, we'll have filters. The reality is only 5 to 10% of the users are going to use the filters. You can track that on your site and see what is your number, but it's not going to be any near from half of them at least. So the thing is, what is the element that defines what is going to be your item number 1, number 2, number 3, right? Are you just showing the best sellers? Okay, let's talk about fashion, best sellers for fashion, right? Yeah, that was the item that was the best seller last year, but maybe this is not a trend anymore. And maybe you are analyzing the best sellers across the whole site history, the whole sales history. So that item, nowadays should not be on that top position. Sure, we could take a look at only the last 6 months. Okay, now we start to get something a little bit more uh, uh, let's say smart. Or we could say, well, how about the new arrivals? They are not going to be. It's going to take a long time for them to become a bestseller, so they are always going to be in the end of this list. So what if we combine a little bit of bestsellers and a little bit of new arrivals? Okay, that's a little bit further.
Also,
And how?
Douglas, also take into consideration size issues here, no?
Yeah. So
If you have a bestseller, but currently you only have one size available, take
that
that
was my
into consideration.
exactly. This was what I was going to comment. You also have to take in consideration the stock level, and by stock level is not about if you have 500 pieces or 10 pieces of that products. Regarding your grids. Okay, so I have five different sizes, right? How many of those sizes are still available?
Mm.
Especially when we're talking about best sellers who have been there for quite a while. Um, what if your number one item has only the extra small or the extra large available, and the odds that someone is actually gonna buy that product nowadays are pretty small? Sure, they are still gonna buy, but should that item be on your number one? Now that you know that the majority of users are actually gonna see, just 20, 30 products, right? So this is where we start to optimized to bring the what are the real best items to be shown at that moment for that page. And there are ways to go even further than that if you're talking about personalization. Would be amazing. That is not so easy to do. What I was saying before is not that complicated. It's just a matter of changing rules of the algorithm, making maybe do some processing at night to resort those products. But if you guys want to go further, we could talk about, as I was saying, personalization, such as, okay, for this user who is used to buy products from this style or this range of price, I'm not gonna show the $10,000 or pounds watch when this person is tend to buy the 500 pounds watch, right? So I'm gonna better sort those items towards that person, and that's definitely gonna increase conversion as a consequence, right? Because I'm gonna see the best items for me, regardless of what is the best one for the next person. um, there is another item um, that we tend to just put something over there, but not pay so much attention, which is filters, right? So there are a few things that we should consider about filters. So, for instance, if I have something like features of a certain product, right? Then I have a list here of 40 items. The reality is nobody's going to read those 40 items, right? Unless it is a highly specialized site like a B2B, for instance. But if we're talking about retail, you're just going to see, just going to read a couple of those. So we need to make sure that the ones that we are offering, they really matter. And by matter in a filter means, okay, can this filter bring me from 500 to 100 to or to 50, let's say, right? If it's gonna leave me, it's gonna bring me from 500 to 450, it's not that useful. If it's gonna bring me to two items, is not that useful either, right? The purpose of a filter is not to find exactly one item, because the odds of someone using that filter are pretty low. And if he's searching for such a specific item, he's probably going to use a search for that, right? If it's not a key factor of, let's say, at least 10-20% of those items of that list, right? So the idea of the filter is to bring from 500 to 50, for instance, and those filters are the ones that I'm gonna scroll down and see, as we were discussing before. There's another element that we tend to take for granted, which is the variance, right? Grouping products into variants. We just assume that, yeah, it's fashion. We always have to group those items, right? Group sizes and colors. The reality is, it should not be that straightforward. Um, in the majority of cases, okay, fine, you're gonna apply that. You definitely should group the sizes, okay. Even that you might have to consider cases where the size affects the price. So usually for clothes, for shoes, doesn't affect the price. Usually, there are some cases where you have the extra large that has a different price. But when I'm talking about bedding, for instance, okay, you have the duvet cover, or I don't know, some other item that has this is made for the king size or the single or double, for instance, and those prices, of course, they're gonna vary, right? In that case, it might be better to break down those products, right? Because you don't want to show an item that says, okay, this costs 30, and actually for my bed, which is a king size, it costs 80. So the price is not helping me at any point on the listing page. And there are other cases like, okay, I have 200 shoes, for instance, running shoes, right, or training shoes. Okay, fine. If they have some different colors over there, I'm probably going to have to group those colors so that the users can see a broader range of shoes. But if it is a subcategory where I have, you know, 5, 10, 20 items, should I really group those items? Is there a good reason for that? Because the reality is, we tend to believe that, okay, the woman is gonna look at this dress, and she's just gonna see the design, the shape, and she's gonna think about that okay, I can decouple the shape from the color. And the reality is, this is not how it works, right? If I'm seeing this blue blouse here, for instance, um, most likely I'm not going to stop to think, okay, how would that be in red or black or etc. I'm probably just going to scroll down, see this one, don't like this color, and skip to the next one, right? Because it is just there in front of me. I'm not going to stop and hover from product by product, color by color, to see the ones that I actually like. I'm just going to scroll down, down, down. It's the easiest, more natural path. So that's why in some cases you might consider it. Yeah, you know what? Let's break down and let's separate them. There are some stores that approach a hybrid, that they do a hybrid approach. They group those items so that the user know that, okay, if I found this design that I liked, but not this color, I'm seeing that there's another color here there. Okay, fine. But I also gonna list those items broken down across the page, right? So a different approach that we can take. Usually, in this case, an A/B test is the best thing to figure out what is the most performatic option for your store. And there is another one. This is not an issue, but it's something that most companies don't consider, and you should, because you can add some value to the site. Is to break the grid, right? So we are used to this very common format, from 3 up to 5 items per row, several columns, and there you go. And this is standard across the whole site, right? Okay, what if we change that, let's say, just a little bit, just in some cases, to show something special, right? So take a look at this nice example from Tiffany. What they are doing is, this is a page that has, I don't know, something about 100 watches, and in 2 points of this page, as I'm scrolling down, they give a very nice highlight to some specific item that they are promoting, right? Taking the space of four products, could be just two, or you might decide how to do that on mobile. You might on mobile skip or show the entire screen and then continue with the products. But there are definitely interesting ways to approach. Could be even a whole a line, in a more horizontal shape, that I'm going to promote something, right? Even having some animation if that's the case, um, to showcase an item that is, is my either a new arrival or has some special detail that I want to mention or in a feature or whatsoever, right? So it's something else to take into consideration. Um, right. So now let's talk about the search. And over here, I'm not talking about external search, Google, etc. We tend to spend a lot of time thinking of that. But are you guys really take a look at your internal search? Have you ever saw how your search algorithm is working, to understand if it is working the best way it should based on your products, right? So, for instance, I think the number one item is regarding to error tolerance. So, um, I was working some time ago with this company called Everything Wine, and they had an issue over there where this is now fixed. Where we're talking about product, we were talking about the American markets, searching for products that are mainly written in French. Um, and there was a lot of typos over there, and if that is your case, you're probably losing a lot of visitors due to the fact that they are, a single missing letter or a wrong letter is going to show no results, right? So the best product search engines, they allow you to define, okay, usually one or two or up to three letters that can be spelling, and we can still show those items regardless of that, right? Another thing, and everybody falls for this one, is the semantic search, right? So take a look at this example from Virgin Wines. Okay, so I'm looking for a red wine under 20, in this case 20 pounds, um, and the product couldn't understand that, right? um, and the thing is, if you take a look at, and we'll talk about that in the last items. If you're going to take a look at the high abandonment rate of your search terms, most likely you're gonna find a lot of semantic search over there. So people are looking for uh, um, uh, 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 jackets for winter, or something for the summer, or something under that price, or wines from that location. Something that is not that is a concept, right? It is not a keyword that are going to find inside the description or the title of the products. And this is exactly where those search engines they fail to bring. Um, in some cases, they're just going to say, so sorry. In some cases, they're going to show items that don't match at all. and that is going to affect your credibility, and users tend to leave your site, and when every competitor is just one click away. That's a dangerous game to play. um, Another one, this is so common as well. Even some pretty big companies fall for this one. Here, an example from CNA is, okay, I search for a blue dress, very common search, probably one of the most common search on that site, right? So let's take a look at take a look at the results. So top three items. The first is blue. The second, kind of almost black, but okay, let's suppose that this is blue as well, some navy, dark blue. But take a look at the third one. It's not blue. It's beige or whatever. And the thing is, think about how the system worked here. So we can see that there is a third option, which is a variant, and it is a blue variant. So technically, it is not wrong, right? But think of how the user is gonna see that, right? Are they gonna really think, oh yeah, they have this one in blue or in red or black or whatever, but it's probably because they have a blue variant, and if I click on the product, I'm gonna find that blue variant over there. Or even if they understand that, which the majority are not, as they scroll down to see those products, they have 107 products to see here. They are not gonna be clicking or hovering every single color swatch to see the color that they were actually searching for, right? It is too much trouble for them, it's too much effort to ask for the users, and why the heck are we not doing that? We are the ones that we're supposed to bring the proper product for the item, proper image for the item, right? But that usually doesn't happen because you usually have a configuration where there is a kind of a main photo. You select one variant to be your first image, and then you have the other ones, the variants with their colors, and you just have filters that define, okay, this I have blue, black, and yellow, and if you find yellow here, show this product, right? So the thing is, we need to think a little bit further, and make sure that we are bringing exactly what this person was looking for. uh, there are other two items that are more related to Google, to web analytics, um, and they are, the first thing is, are you guys tracking the zero response? And it's a very common thing to see that the shops are not doing that. They are not tracking that response, right? By the way, Google Analytics by itself doesn't do that. They just, okay, you have 100 people searching for this term, and or best case scenario, you can see that conversion rate was low, or there was a high abandonment rate, but they're not going to tell that there was a search zero response over there. So there are several ways to do that. We could trigger an event, for instance. That is probably the easiest way to see on Google Analytics. Or if you're using certain search engines like Algolia or a few other paid ones, they are gonna properly track that and tell you, okay, you have here 5% of your searches are returning zero products, and you can go there and find out, okay, yeah, people are searching for this term when I was expecting that they were searching for this other term, so I can define a synonym, for instance, to match that, or I can, maybe it's a typo that many users are doing, and you can create a synonym to fix that typo as well. Or maybe there's some product that users are starting to look for on your site, and you actually don't have, and that's going to be a trigger to your commercial team to go after that product and start selling on your site, because users are assuming that your brand was supposed to carry that product, right? um, and another thing on the same area is, Are you taking a look, let's say, weekly or worst case scenario monthly, on your high abandonment rate of those terms, right? So take a look at the terms that were, the most common ones for the past 30 days. I don't know, the 50 or 100 most common ones. Take a look at the abandonment rate of those items, right? And by abandonment means I saw the search result and I did not click into a single product, right? So definitely that the ones showing something, usually above 60, 70, definitely 80, that is definitely a problem over there. And you should, run that search and see what is the response, and probably adding, more either a better description on into those items that are supposed to be there and they're not, or tweak the search algorithm to find the proper products, right? Most likely, tending to be one of those items that we talked before, synonyms, their tolerance, or semantic, right? Now let's talk about psychological triggers to convert more. Um, I talk about scarcity and the FOMO, the fear of missing out. So this is where Amazon is the master. They have been since almost ever doing this kind of thing, where I'm gonna show you, there are only X items left on your stock, and or the other case from West Elm that they're showing limited time offer. So that is a trigger, that is a mind trigger to say, okay, if I don't buy now, tomorrow this product might not be there, and I'm going to lose this promotion, or lose this nice price, or this item. So I better, hurry and buy this item today. Um, so that's definitely something for you to apply on your store. Some kind of uh, 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 um, uh, scarcity alarm, right? Um, Another one is regarding to herd behavior. So people tend to do what they see other people doing, right? They tend to act in a same way that animals act in a herd, right? So when they see a lot of people going to, imagine the scenario, you go to a high street and you have two restaurants over there. One that is a pretty long queue, and the other one is absolutely empty, right? Which one you think you're gonna, try to get into? Are you gonna look at the other one that's, yeah, this is empty, nobody's going, so this is best, I can go in straight to that? Or you're gonna think, it's empty because probably everybody else knows something about this restaurant that I don't know, so the food over there should not be that good. The other one that has a pretty long queue definitely should have a better food than that one. So I prefer to wait on that queue to get into the nice that nice restaurant, right? Um, and this is where you have, this is when you see sites such as, I think this is ASOS if I'm not wrong, or it's or either ASOS or Nordstrom, where they're showing, this is Nordstrom, sorry, they're showing you have 39 people viewing this product at this moment, right? They don't actually say at this moment, so it's kind of open, could be on that day or this week, something like that. You are going to assume that they are in real time seeing this product, right? Um, or there are other ways to do that. Take a look at what Amazon is doing. They are, highlighting a few items, and they are saying customers shop it for those items, right? So the idea is, whenever you remove, as a brand, you remove yourself from the recommendation, and you says, okay, this is not me telling you that this is the best product for you, these are the customers doing that. It is a very strong signal, right? The signal is, okay, if everybody's doing, they should know something that I don't, and I should follow them because they are probably right? So this is probably the last trend that I wasn't aware of. But now I'm gonna take a closer look. Or this is probably the best power bank, because everybody who is comparing is going for this one. So I'm probably gonna do that as well. I don't wanna you know uh, 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 run array from everybody and try to buy the one that no one is buying, and no one is reviewing, right? Because it's pretty risk. um, or the case of Avayana's here in their European store, where they are using the social um, to show that, okay, there are a lot of people, buying our products and having a nice time, and etc. etc. So it is always to give the idea that you are not the only one, right? That is there's a large group of people doing the same thing, and actually you are the only one out, right? So that compels users to be there as well, and that's why Avayana is bringing traffic from their users generated content into their product listing page, product detail page, right? There's another one. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to read this slide. This is an interesting one. So I would say that if you are human, 99% chance that you fall for this design, right? And the idea here is uh, by the layout, by the grids, by the information architect, we can define which elements you're gonna see first and second and third and etc. Right? Um, so we cannot just go there and add elements to the page. We need to think about which element is the most important one, which is the second one, and which is the third, and which elements should be there. But I actually don't want users to pay that much attention to that. And we have a few cases here, or stars who were not doing that well, such as this one, where this is their cart on mobile, and okay, I just added a part to the cart. What is the most important thing that I want users to pay attention and to do here? I could try to increase AOV by telling them to continue shopping, or I can try to, be a little bit more forceful towards the funnel and give a nice highlights on the checkout button. Over here, they are not doing anything. So all the buttons are plain, and they are just about the same, right? From the update to the checkout, it's like, okay, for me it doesn't matter if you click on one or the other, and it's definitely not the case, right? I want the checkout to stand out, for instance. Or some cases stars just get it wrong, like this case here, where, okay, what is the most important element of this page, right? And what is the button? Yeah, it's the welcome back. That's welcome back is not a button, right? But it sure looks like a button. It has every single element of a button. It is, above the background, uh, like the Google material trend has the shadow, everything. So definitely is a button. But actually, the main element here is the one that is that people can barely notice, which is the sign in. Right? Doesn't even look like a button. There's not even a background, a border, or anything like that. And you could get away in this case because there isn't much else on this page, but it's definitely not what I want to do, especially if you're talking about a product detail page, and this is the add to cart, right? So take a look at Uniqlo and how they almost master this practice over here, right? So okay, as soon as I load the page, my eyes are automatically drawn towards two elements: the photo, of course, and the add to cart button, which is screaming on this page because everything is white and this is the only black elements. And then I go to the next ones. So I saw add to bag. Then I'm gonna read free tomorrow. Okay, that's great. Then they have the learn more here. I probably wouldn't give that attention to the learn more. Most people don't click over that. But there's another very interesting case here. By the way, look at what happens when they don't have any reviews. So they are keeping the stars over there, but they are completely removing the highlights of that. But take a look here how interesting it is. So they have two ways to select the size or to help the users to find their proper size. So they have the size chart and they have this My Size Assist, which is a virtual fitting room. It is obvious the one that is working the best here. So they have the size chart because they have to, but obviously they don't want people to click here. So that's why they put in the corner in a kind of a light gray, and they put the My Size Assist very close to the main item that people are gonna see, which are the sizes and the quantity, and they put that in a black font, right? So this is a very nice way for you guys to think about, okay, what am I doing on the elements of the information architecture of my page? Am I analyzing and following some of these trends, or thinking of what is the most important, what is the second most important for me, or is just everything in the same baseline, the same level, right? Um, then another item here. This is a very interesting case. So this is how majority of shops do their sliders, right? They just put three, four items side by side, maybe two on mobile, and that's it. And they are just assume that users are gonna try to find some error or to slides or swipe or something like that. And a few are gonna do that. A few most are not gonna do that. But take a look at what Netflix is doing, or not, what Netflix did a couple of years ago, and they still remain with this layout. So pretty much Netflix is the master of browsing, right? There was a joke that I saw once that Netflix was about to create a new subscription model just for people who just want to browse. They don't actually watch anything. And I will probably apply for that, because I sometimes I spend a half an hour or even more than that, just look at stuff and just adding to the list, and I end up by never watching anything. I just go to sleep. So and the way that they do that is a very clever trick. They show half of the image here, here, and here. So you are, it is impossible not to take a look at that and say, oh, okay, what is this thing? What is this movie? Or what is this series? Right? I don't remember. I don't recognize just by this piece here. So I'm gonna slide or tap or whatever. And as they show that one with two more, there's going to be another one with just the same effect, and that's why you have people just browsing for a long time. And we can apply exactly the same thing for e-commerce, right? uh, don't show exactly 3 or 4 products. Show 3.5, show 4.5, right? And you're gonna see the more people, you're gonna see people seeing more products, which tend to increase conversion rate, because they're gonna increase findability, right? um, so the next one as well. And going for the last items of this presentation. So let's talk about roadblocks on cart and checkout. Um, Here we have some very common issues. The first one is we have started don't give the all the information that users need to take a decision, right? So this is a case. I'm not going to expose the brand here, but take a look at what they are doing. They are saying, okay, you can have in delivered in 3 days for $10, or in two for 20, next day for $30, or you can have it for free. Okay, but for free, is it going to be delivered in 4 days, 10, 5, a month? I have no idea. How can you ask me to take this decision when you don't give me all the parameters, right? It is not fair, and that's gonna lead to hesitation, and hesitation leads to abandonment. Um, or the thing is, always give them all the information that they're gonna need, and as soon as you can. If you can bring information about the shipping on your product page, way better. If you can't, at least on the cart page, don't wait until the very last moment of the checkout to do that, because you're gonna lose sales for certain people. Many people are not gonna wait to fill the whole form to then on the final step understand how much the ship's gonna be, right? They're just gonna abandon since they're not seeing that information. Um, Another one that I'm used to see over and over, two big mistakes on checkout as well, that is especially for mobile, is um, uh, stores not using uh, either Google Maps API or some other third party tool to do the address autofill, right? It is fine to fill a form like that. It's boring, but fine to do a fill form like that on desktop. But talking about mobile, okay, now I have, 5, 6 fields to, type my whole address and etc. Postcode, zip codes, or whatever, phone number, and so forth. It is just too much. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna, leave to do some next day on the desktop in my home, and half of them are probably not never gonna, they're gonna forget and not return to purchase. So definitely we should apply that to reduce that cart abandonment rate. Um, there is another, and the last one here, is regarding to the keyboard that we are loading on mobile to fill certain fields, right? So if it is definitely a numeric field such as phone number, and especially credit card, the phone number is usually on your mind, but people don't know their credit card by heart, so they have to look at the credit card in one hand, and on the other hand they are holding their phone and typing those tiny little numbers. Um, and and this is very prone to error. And once users get an error on checkout, maybe they don't realize that there is an error or something like that, or they get irritated and they just leave. Right? It is incredible to see how for a minor little thing users leave the checkout, while with just a single HTML attribute we could easily bring a way better fields for them. We have the same thing for email, for instance. Some stores, they don't bring the proper keyboard, and try to find the ads on Android, for instance, for someone who is 40, 50. Give the phone and tell them, okay, find me, type your Gmail account, for instance. If you're not bringing the ads and the .com on the keyboard, and good luck, you're going to see that many of them are going to struggle to find the ads um, character. And the last one that I wanted to bring is combining everything that we just spoke. It is clear that we need to avoid hesitation, right? That hesitation leads to abandonment. Um, and one of the ways to do that, when I'm talking about product pages, is, and I'm talking about fashion, of course, is to reduce the hesitation of choosing the wrong size. And this is where tool that is meant to help users with something way more advanced than just a size chart. Majority of users don't know by heart their measures, but there are better tools nowadays to provide this kind of service, right? To tell if this jacket or this blouse is going to be tight here or loose there, or etc. And by by doing so, by reducing hesitation, you're going to see more users adding the product to cart. You're going to see less people abandoning product to cart because they were not so sure about the size. They were fearful of that, and it's also going to reduce returns, which is even kind of sustainable approach as well. And that's it. We are 1 minute past the time.
Time
We're gonna
flies
open
when you're
for
having fun,
questions.
Douglas, and this was
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much. We had questions here, but I think we're up with the time. I suggest that everybody go through the video again through the webinar, because the amount of content Douglas has brought us is tremendous. Just on a last note, Douglas, from all that you have shared today, which is immense, what would you say would be the number one factor that any e-commerce should address immediately from all of these points? What do you see as the most important, critical?
Um, well, I think the first thing is, are you measuring?
Yeah.
Right? Are you measuring that level of detail? Right? Do you know the amount of users who are, um, uh, as I was saying before, reaching the page two of that subcategory, or the amount of users who are using your filter, or who are changing the sort ordering to sort by price, for instance, right? The first thing is, let's make sure that we are, measuring those items so that we can understand how they are behaving on our site. How is this journey happening, right? Because once we do that, okay, now I can start
Yeah,
implementing changes and seeing the benefits, right?
exactly.
If I just, go crazy and start getting my developers and start doing changes, and hoping to see the outcome of that on conversion rates, it is not the best. Sure, you can do that, but the thing is, sometimes you're gonna get a lift of 5%, 2% on moving users from one step to the other. So it's hard to see that on the conversion rate, because the conversion rate is not stable. It's not going to be the same every single day. You have fluctuation of promotions and price and etc. Right?
Mhm.
So that's why the closer you are measuring to the change that we are doing, the better, because you can notice that on the next day, yeah, okay, we got 3% more, now 1% more, and the beauty thing about conversion rate optimization is that everything is just gonna add up, right? And as I increase conversion rates, every single campaign is gonna become cheaper, right? I'm gonna be able to spend more on PPC, because now what I was spending 10 to retrieve 20, now I'm spending 10 and getting 30 out of that, right? So it is a cyclic movement, right? Um, that's why nowadays I advocate so much towards conversion rate optimization, because it is so beneficial for the companies. And sadly, there is still a vast majority of, especially small and mid-range e-commerce sites, who are not paying attention to that, and they are losing a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So look at your numbers, guys. Look at your analytics, define your KPIs, and make sure that you use those dashboards. We strive here at SizeBait for that as well. Analytics is more and more the basis of any decision that is taken. And definitely when investments are so big. So your money has to be well used, and your analytics is going to help you tremendously with that. Make sure that you're putting your bet in the best pot, and for sure. Douglas, I don't want to keep you. I know you have a very busy agenda. There was a lot more we could talk about. I hope we can do a part two of this webinar. And in the meantime, thank you so much. Great content. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for everyone for participating. And see you in the next Science Talks Live. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.